today is already Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, and we also call the month Mar Cheshvan. We spoke about it a little bit before, but Mar means bitter, but we do have the power in this month to take anything that is bitter, that is Mar, and to switch it around. If you take the letters Mar, Mem and Reish, and you switch it around, it becomes Ram. And Ram is something that is very high and very exalted. But today we're going to concentrate on one part of the month. In general, how we start this class is we just go quickly by explaining that the sign of the month is Scorpio, a Krav. It's a water sign. We also know, based on the teachings of the Book of Formation, Sefer Yetzirah, that every month has two letters that control and nourish the month. One letter controls the planet. There's a planet that is always affecting the month, and one letter is affecting the sign. So the letters of this month is Daled and Nun. Daled controls the planet, which is Mars, Ma'adim, and Nun is the letter that controls the sign, which is Scorpio. To go together, it gives a very powerful word, the word Dan. Dan means to judge. Dan is the dinim and judgments. And even though judgment is something that is seemingly something very, very negative, but also when we know dinim and gvurot is something very positive, because it has the power of restricting and stopping. So if something comes in too much of a power and you need some force of stopping it, then here we see that gvura and din is something very, very positive. Usually you would say the word din, judgment, ooh, this sounds very bad. And sometimes you say there's a lot of dinim right now, judgment coming from a world above. So it just sounds bad. But really, gvura is actually a very powerful and good thing. We actually talked about it several times, that the real chesed of Hashem is gvura. That the real kindness of Hashem is when He knows when to be strong, firm, and to stop. Because anything that you get too much of, it loses its power. Or it can be destructive. Look now with the flood that we're learning now in the weekly parsha. The water was way too much and it caused a destruction. But not only that, we're going to talk about it very shortly, how the month of Mar Cheshvan, Mar means bitter. And usually when we want to make something a little bit less bitter, so we add sugar. So we add sugar to our tea, to our coffee, to the cake, or whatever it is. But if you put too much sugar in the coffee, it doesn't taste already good. It's disgusting when it's too much. So anytime there's a force of boundaries or restrictions, or what we call gvurot and dinim, it's actually a very good thing. This is something we're going to concentrate on today, is how to apply the power of din, of judgment, and gvura, and severity and restriction to our benefit. Now, the two letters, we're not going to spend too much time on the letters, just so we know as a reference, the letter Daled represents dalut. Dalut means poverty and something that you lack something. And Nun is a letter that is called Nefilah. Nefilah is when somebody falls, when something falls down. Both seem to be very negative. Poverty and dalut is when you're empty, when you're lacking something. That can come off as something very negative. And same thing when you're saying Nun for the Nefilah, falling down, it also sounds negative. Nefilah? Nefilah means to fall. But nevertheless, we're going to find out very soon that both are actually very positive things. Both the dalut, the dalet, and the nun. And again, dalut is when you're lacking something, when something is brought to the minimum, a little bit of something. Now, like I said before, even something sweet, if you have too much of it, it ruins everything. Take now anything, take a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a cake, or whatever it is, add too much sugar, too much honey, then in the beginning when you have it with the right quantity, then the sweetness is good. But when the sweetness is way too much, then it loses its benefit. So we already see one type of a connection to the reason of the month called Mar Cheshvan. I mean, one of the reasons why it's called Mar Cheshvan, Mar means bitter. One of the explanation is because this month doesn't have a holiday in it. And which is, it's true, but nevertheless, there are other months that don't have a holiday. Also the month of Tevet doesn't have a holiday in it. But nevertheless, today in the morning we learned about that when Noach went into the Teva, he went on the 17th day of Cheshvan. And 17 is the gematria of the word Tov. So when did he walk into the Teva? On Yom Tov. A good day. So there is really a holiday on Cheshvan. The day that Noach walked into the Teva is a Yom Tov, the 17th day. But nevertheless, we see that when things are not in the right portion, or there's no boundaries, then you can lose of its power. So for example, if you eat something sweet and you eat one after the other, if you eat at the end one bitter one, it ruins the taste of everything. I'm sure you experience, you know when it happens a lot? When you have grapes, for example. You eat these delicious grapes, and then the last one is rotten, so the taste in the mouth now is rotten. And you always say, why did I get the last one should be like rotten? And it happens with tomatoes, you eat and all of them are good. You put your hand in the dish, they're all tasty. The last one is a little bit off and it ruins the taste of everything. So we're going to very soon see the idea behind the bitterness, so to say, and how is that actually working to our benefit. Now we always explain that every month not only has a connection to a planet, that the planet is affecting the month, not only the letters, we also know that every month there's a sense. There are 12 senses. I know people are familiar more with 5 senses, but every month we're learning there are 12 senses. The sense of the month of Cheshvan is the sense of smelling. And also we know that every month has a connection to one of the tribes. And the tribe for the month of Cheshvan is the tribe of Menashe. Previous month, we didn't have a class in Tishrei, but the previous month, the month was Ephraim. Ephraim and Menashe are brothers, the sons of Yosef. And today we're mainly going to concentrate specifically on the connection of the tribe of Menashe. Now, just when you're looking at the name Menashe, you're already seeing the connection to the month, because Cheshvan is the 8th month from Nisan. Nisan is really the first month. I know everybody thinks that Tishrei is the first month, but Tishrei is the 7th month, and that it says very clearly in the Torah. When the Torah is talking about, in Parashat Pinchas, about the holidays, it says very clear that on the Rosh Hashanah, it doesn't say the word Rosh Hashanah, but rather it says on the 7th month on the first day. And same thing with Yom Kippur. It says on the 7th month on the 10th day. So Cheshvan is the 8th month. 8 in Hebrew is Shmone, which you write the word Shmone, Shin, Mem, Nun, and Hey, which is the exact same letters of the word Menashe, Mem, Nun, Shin, Hey. Same letters, just a little bit of a different order. So already we see a strong connection between the name of the tribe that is connected to the month and to the month itself. Not only that, very interestingly, this we're going to read very soon in Hanukkah. Believe it or not, Hanukkah is around the corner. I mean, we're beginning of Cheshvan. Hanukkah is in a month and a half. A little bit over a month and a half. So before we know it, we're here already with coats, and now we're sweating, but very soon we're going to be wearing coats. In Hanukkah, we read every day a portion of what's called Chanukat HaMizbeach, the inauguration of the altar. And every day one of the tribes came to sacrifice a certain offering. And believe it or not, also the tribe of Menashe, the president of the tribe of Menashe, he served his offering on the 8th day. So again, we see another ring, another loop, another connection. Now, Ephraim is the brother of Menashe. Ephraim is the tribe that is connected to the month of Tishrei. And Ephraim and Menashe, they always come together. They're brothers. Both are sons of Yosef. But we always say Ephraim and Menashe, Ephraim and Menashe. And Ephraim is the younger one. Menashe is the older one. Even when Yaakov Avinu blessed them, he's putting his hand on Ephraim, and Yosef is saying, no, that's the younger one. And Yaakov says, I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing here. I know he's the younger one, but nevertheless, he's getting the blessing first. In every time that we say the words Ephraim and Menashe, we always say Ephraim and Menashe. We don't say Menashe and Ephraim, which the order is the switch, because Menashe really is the older brother. And very interestingly, even when you're looking at the structure of the tribes in the desert, you know how it was. The Moshe Rabbeinu was in the middle with the ark, and around it was all the parts, the camps of the Leviim, and then 12 tribes were parked around the ark, 3 on the north, 3 on the south, 3 on the west, 3 on the east. On the west was it's called Degel Machaneh, the flag of the camp. There was only 4 camps, 12 tribes, 4 camps. Every camp had 3 tribes. The camp on the west is called Degel Machaneh Ephraim. Again, he's the younger one, but he gets to be the head of the camp, and Menashe is underneath him, underneath Ephraim, even in the structure of the camps around the ark. So we constantly see how Ephraim is always placed in the top and in the beginning, and he's the younger one, and Menashe is the younger one, and he's always on the bottom. And even now, I hope you were present at the last day that we read the Torah. In Simchat Torah, we finished the Torah by reading the parasha of Vezot HaBracha, and then we rolled it and we started Bereshit. If you remember, there's a blessing there that Moshe Rabbeinu, it says Moshe Rabbeinu died. That's the parasha that we read about the death of Moshe Rabbeinu, and he gives a blessing to everybody. And even when he gives a blessing to Ephraim and Menashe, he says, Vehem revavot Ephraim, vehem alfei Menashe. Again, we see that Ephraim is placed in the beginning, and then Menashe is second. So, we're starting now the book of Bereshit, and we're going to read very soon. I mean, we're in Parashat Noach, but very soon we're going to read about all the histories. Very soon we're going to get acquainted with Avraham Avinu next week, and then Yitzchak and Yaakov, and right after that the tribes, and very soon after that Yosef. And this is a very full book full of history. And you see that very soon, when it comes to the point that Yaakov was blessing Ephraim and Menashe, Yaakov and Yosef, they disagree. Yaakov wants to bless Ephraim first, and Yosef says, no, you can't do that. He's the second. Bless Menashe, he's the Bechor. Now, what's funny here is that the Torah is relating to the argument between Yosef and Yaakov. The Torah is not giving any time to think about, wait a minute, don't you think that maybe that poor person has feelings? What about Menashe? The Torah is talking about the argument between Yosef and Yaakov, and the feelings of Menashe are pushed aside. Wait a minute, maybe he has feelings. He's the first one. Hasn't he been pushed enough to be second in line? Why isn't the Torah giving some type of thought? Wait a minute, maybe let's ask Menashe. He's a grown man. Nevertheless, in the book of Bereshit that we're starting now, we see that the whole book is full of arguments between brothers. The whole book is just arguments of brothers. We started last week with Cain and Hevel. This week, we're going to see the argument between Shem and Yefet and Ham, the sons of Noach. Shem and Yefet, they team up and they go, it's actually Ham against them, not they against Ham. They just protecting their father. But again, we see an argument between the fathers. Following week, what are we going to see? We're going to see Yitzchak and Ishmael. Following week, we're going to see Yaakov and Esav, constantly fighting. Following week, Yosef and the brothers. All the brothers are constantly fighting. And if you notice something very funny, the young one is always the successful one. The younger one is Hevel, he's the younger one, he's above Cain. Same thing with Yitzchak. Yitzchak is younger than Ishmael, and Yaakov is younger than Esav, and Yosef is younger than all the Shvatim. So we always see that the younger one is actually the more dominating one. But if you pay attention, between the brothers of Menashe and Ephraim, there's no fights. All the brothers fight. From the greatest, from the first ones till the end. Not till the end, but till the end of the book of Bereshit, of course. But between Ephraim and Menashe, there's no fighting. And why is that? Because Menashe is a mensch. Menashe has no jealousy to his brother. He's not having any feelings towards it. Why am I pushed aside? He accepts the fact that so what if I'm pushed aside? He's the one who's chosen. The grandfather chose him to be the one who's being blessed. He always comes first. Fine. So Menashe has a very high quality of accepting that that's the reality. So he's better. So he's number one and I'm number two. Big deal. So what? And the fact that he doesn't have any jealousy, and there's no fighting. End the story. We can end the class right now. Because it's the jealousy that causes all the fighting. The jealousy is causing all the problems. Cain was jealous of Hevel. I don't know why he was jealous. I mean, the only two of you rule the world. What are you jealous? We know our sages say that first of all, it was according to the Pshat, according to what the Torah says, the literal level, he was jealous that Hashem turned to Hevel, to his offering. But there was other reasons why he was jealous. Cain was born with one twin sister, and Hevel was born with two twin sisters. Already, he was jealous. How come he's getting two and I'm only getting one? And then, of course, they separated the land. Half belonged to Cain, half belonged to Hevel. He wasn't happy with the piece of real estate he got. Why am I not getting that piece? Come on, you own half the world. Why are you looking at his side? So, jealousy is always going to be the first part that causes arguments, fights, disagreements, and so forth. And Menashe understood his place in the universe. He said, okay, that's who I am. So somebody's better than me. Somebody was chosen to be a better person, a leader, whatever it is. He's humble. Now, very interestingly, his name is Menashe. You know what we say in Hebrew? I'm sure you already experienced that term a few times. What do you say in Hebrew when you say it doesn't matter? Lo meshaneh. Ma ze meshaneh. What does it matter? So Menashe has the same letters and the same order of the word meshaneh. Matters. What does it matter? So you see already the nature in his name that his attitude was lo meshaneh. It's okay, nothing happened. So not only that, very interesting, he understood Menashe. We have to learn from him a lot. He understood that when some type of bitterness, that I experience some type of bitterness, it's only the Yetzer Hara, the one who's spitting this bitterness. If I experience any type of bitterness in my life, doesn't matter right now because my neighbor is doing better business than me, because whatever it is, the other person across the street is his wife is more attractive. I don't know, I can't think of too many examples. Because that person was decided to be number one and I'm number three. Or he's making more money than me, or whatever it is. He knows more Torah than me. All these different arguments. When a person is experiencing bitterness, you have to understand, where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? So Menashe understood that the bitterness is just the Yetzer Hara. It's because this is my place in the world, so what if that person is better than me? That's the decision of Hashem. So he was, how I like to define it, he was normal. He says, okay, so I'm not number one. Big deal. Ma ze meshaneh. What does it matter? Now, interestingly, if you're looking at the letters of the name of Menashe, switch the order around, same letters, but switch the order around, is the word neshama, soul. Also, I said that the sense of the month is breathing, same letters, neshima. I know some people write it with a yud, but the right way to write it is without a yud. So Menashe, same letter of neshama, same letter of neshima. Now, we just, Baruch Hashem, had a beautiful prayer in the morning, and we add an addition on Rosh Chodesh that is called Hallel. And in Hallel, we add a certain paragraph that we say, Kol HaNeshama Tehalel Yudke. Kol HaNeshama Tehalel Ya. So, we have to constantly praise Hashem. We don't thank Hashem for what we have. If I would thank Hashem constantly for what I have, I wouldn't have any reason to feel neglected. I wouldn't have any feeling to feel jealous. I wouldn't have any reason to feel that you are better than me, because I'm very happy with what I have. So we have to take from that, if you want to start breaking up, what we need to take from this is that we need to be a Menashe. We need to understand my place in the universe. And I need to understand that there's always going to be somebody who's smarter than me, better than me, more successful than me, he makes more money, whatever it is, who cares? מה זה משנה? We need to make a bumper sticker. מה זה משנה? What does it matter? I mean, in Hebrew it sounds much, much better. In English it doesn't sound good. In English you say, מה זה משנה? What does it matter? And that's the attitude of Menashe. And Menashe was constantly praising Hashem. Again, take the words of Menashe and Neshama. Kol ha-neshama ta'aleliyah. All day long we have to praise Hashem. If you praise Hashem, you're not going to complain of anything. You're not going to see that somebody else has more than you. When you see that somebody else has more than you, it's because you're not praising Hashem for what you have. Somebody came here not too long ago, and also just complaining and complaining and complaining. And I told her, it was in one of these classes, but it was close to 2 years ago when we started. And I told her, why are you complaining? I don't know why you're complaining. You have everything that you can ask for. Maybe it's not in an abundance, but you have everything. And everything that she complained about, I turned it around and I told her, what are you complaining? My husband is driving me crazy, is this and that. I told her, but you have a husband. Go here 30 kilometers north to Amuka, you'll see how many women don't have a husband. So you have a husband, so stop complaining. And this and everything that came out of her mouth was complaining. And I told her, I don't know why you're complaining. So you have a little bit of aches of pain. Were you complaining because you have a little pain in your hand? Go here 2 kilometers down to the hospital. You'll see people, they're sitting there, Hashem Yerachem, with what they have to go through. You're complaining? So we have to acquire and we have to take the attitude of Menashe, that even though he was born first, so what? He decided, the decision was that he's going to be second, so he's second. Azma, so what? So Moshe Zuchman is number 1 and I'm number 2. Or I'm number 3 or I'm number 7. Who cares? And this is the attitude that will cause a person to take anything that is bitter and to turn it into something sweet. Because if I feel something bitter, it's my problem. It's my Yetzer Hara telling me you're being used. You're being taken advantage. Nobody cares for you. Nobody sees what you're doing. And then the Yetzer Hara is the one who starts pressing on me, and then I become bitter. And when I become bitter, I become sad and upset, and I don't eat, I don't sleep, I don't function. Who needs that? That's only the Yetzer Hara. Now, let's stop for a second and try to understand for 1 second, why is Ephraim always ahead? If Menashe was born first, couldn't Hashem just make it that Ephraim should come out first and then we finish with the whole problem? Why is Ephraim first? So, the pshat, the simple explanation was that Menashe is the same letters of Mishneh. Mishneh is the vice. I don't know if that's really how you say it in English, but you have a vice president. In a CEO, how do you call it? A vice CEO? I don't know. A vice is the second one, right? That's how you say it in English. So in Hebrew it's called Mishneh. If you remember that Yosef, when he was appointed, he became Mishneh Lamelech, the second to the king. So Menashe was the second to the king. He was attached to Yosef, and he was like the right man hand of Yosef. Menashe. Ephraim, on the other hand, he was close to Yaakov. He was the right hand of Yaakov. Yaakov had a certain issue, not I shouldn't say an issue, but Yaakov had a weakness for the what's called Ben Zikunim. He loved Yosef the most. Our sages are not so happy with the fact that Yaakov loved Yosef the most, and the sages from the Talmud, they say that's what caused a lot of problems. He shouldn't have done that. But nevertheless, Yaakov loved Yosef in a special way. Then when finally Yaakov went to Mitzrayim, Yosef was busy. He was running a country. It's a president. It's a second to the king, a prime minister. You think he had time to have a cup of coffee with his father? So Ephraim was attached to Yaakov. And Yaakov got very close to Yaakov got very close to Ephraim. So by default, if you're looking at the literal level, then Ephraim was close to Yaakov. So Yaakov was the one who actually appointed him to be the first. This is if you're looking at the pshat. But if you're looking at the pnimiyut, at the more inner level of things, Ephraim was designated to be a head, to be the leader. And if you're looking at the ancestry, who came out from Ephraim? Came Yehoshua. And Yehoshua was the next leader. Yehoshua was the one who led the nation of Israel into Eretz Israel. And Yehoshua is a direct descendant of Ephraim. He came from Ephraim. On the other hand, with Menashe again, just by looking at his name, The same letters is Mishneh. He was already destined to be the second in line. Even though he was born first, but nevertheless, it's the same analogy that we explained now before the class with Yaakov and Esav, when you put two things into a tube. So really, Ephraim was the one who came in first, and then Menashe, so Menashe came out first. But really, Menashe was always destined to be second. And even if you're looking again at the offsprings, who came out of Menashe? Gideon. Gideon, I think in English you call him Gideon. But his Gideon was one of the judges. And he, there's a difference between a leader like Yoshua and a judge. A judge, even though he's a very high rank individual, but he's not a leader. He's just a temporary judge. So we already see by the name of Menashe that he was always destined to be the next one. Now, we always like taking what we learn and applying it into my life. Because if I don't apply it into my life, then I'm wasting my time. If I'm just sitting and warming up a chair in classes and I don't do anything with it, then I'm really wasting my time. Rather, I want to take what I learn and to apply it into my life. That's what our sages say, Hama'aseh ha'ikar. The action is what counts. If you walk out of the class and you don't do anything, then what did you do here? What did you come here for? The rogalach? For the tea? You came here because you need to take some type of a tool and apply it into your life. Now, going back again, let's go back to Menashe. He's the star of today, the tribe of the month. The tribe of Menashe has a very special quality, something very unique in compared to the other tribes. When Moshe Rabbeinu divided the land between the tribes, Menashe was the one who got 2 portions. Everybody else got 1 portion, and Menashe got 1 portion on one side of the Jordan and another portion on the other side of the Jordan. So he's getting here 2 portions here, a bonus. So one part, if you're looking at the map of Israel, there's the Jordan River, and as of now, then we are on the west side of the Jordan River, but really the east side of the Jordan River is also part of our land. It's part of Israel. Jordan belongs to us. And also Syria and Lebanon, but nevertheless, very soon Mashiach is going to come. We're going to see how we expand. Hashem yarchiv et gevulecha. That's what it says in the prophet. Hashem will broaden widen your borders. Nevertheless, on the east part of the Jordan is one part that the tribe of Menashe got. This is called Eretz Gilad. And this is the part of the land where Moshe Rabbeinu conquered from Og Melech HaBashan. Sorry. This is the east part of the river. On the west part of the river, there's another part, and he's right underneath Ephraim. So we see, when it comes to the division of the land, Menashe got 2 portions, and this is part of the quality of this tribe, is what's called a chiluk, a separation, knowing when you cut something in half. Moshe Rabbeinu, he separated that portion and he gave Menashe, so to say, double. So he was able to give Menashe double than what he originally was supposed to get. We also see that specifically to the tribe of Menashe, there's a very strong quality of what's called Ahavat Israel, but not the Ahava for me loving another Jew, Ahava of the land of Israel. Where do we see that? Because again, generations of Menashe are the daughters of Tzlofchad, and they were very strong fighting. We should get a portion too. So what if our father died? We also need to get a portion. And they went and they banged on the Supreme Court till they got to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, you're right, you get a portion. So we see that it's already in their nature to fight to get a portion of the land, and they did. They end up getting double the portion. Now, where do we see the connection now between Moshe and Menashe? Obviously there's a connection here. Moshe is the one who divided the land. And obviously Moshe decided to give Menashe a double portion. And that's already a hint for us to see that there's a strong connection between Moshe and Menashe. First of all, the letters are very similar. The only thing is that Moshe is missing a nun. They have a mem, the shin and the hey. They're only missing a nun. What is this nun that we're missing, that Moshe is missing? We know that there are 50 gates of Bina, 50 Sha'arei Bina. Moshe only received 49 gates of Bina in this world. Only when he received the 50th, then he died. So the Nun that Moshe is missing, this is called Nun Nofelet. If you remember in the beginning, I told you we have 2 letters for the month. Dalet. Dalet means dalut, poverty, emptiness. And this is, we can already connect it to Menashe, that Menashe was humble. When you're humble, nothing belongs to me anyways. What are you proud of? Your money? The money doesn't belong to you. What are you proud of? Your fame, of your success, or whatever it is? Nothing belongs to you. Menashe signifies the dalut, I'm humble. A person can be humble and still be a millionaire, and still be famous, and still be professional, and whatever it is. Menashe is the symbol of Midat Anava, and that's another connection we see to Moshe Rabbeinu. He was humble. The Nun that we saw in the beginning of the class, and I told you Nun means Nefila. Nefila means to fall. Even when you see the Nun, if you stretch it, it's one line. It goes underneath the line. This Nun, this Nefila, is the Nun that Moshe Rabbeinu is missing. Now, I don't know if you remember, but there is one place in the Tanakh that Moshe Rabbeinu is called Menashe. And this can be found in the book of Judges, book of Shoftim, in chapter 18. There's a verse when it's talking about the sin of the grandson of Moshe Rabbeinu. And what does it says? Yehonatan, ben Gershom, the son of Gershom, ben Menashe. So go and check it if you're not familiar with that. The book of Judges, chapter 18, I believe it's the verse 30. And it's talking about the sin of Yehonatan, the son of Gershom, the son of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu is written there Menashe. It's the only place in the Tanakh that Moshe has the Nun. And he's called Menashe. So right here we already see an unbelievable connection between Moshe and Menashe. Menashe was very humble. He was the only one who accepted the fact that his brother, the younger one, is better. And who has the same quality? It's Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, Ha'isha Yanav Mikol. Midat Anava, being humble. So what? So somebody else is better. So somebody else is a little bit more successful. Who cares? Ma ze meshaneh. I think this is going to be the slogan now. This is going to be the name of the class. Ma ze meshaneh. So this Nun that is missing is hinting to the 50th gate. Sha'ar Nun. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted so much. Why couldn't he receive it? Because he wasn't able to get into Eretz Israel. That's why Menashe got the extra portion of Eretz Israel. Moshe Rabbeinu says, if I can get it, you're going to get it. This is the Sha'ar Nun, the level of completion. The highest of all, what was lacking for Moshe Rabbeinu. He wasn't able to receive it. Only 49 levels of Sha'arei Bina Moshe Rabbeinu was able to receive. Only after he died, he reached to Sha'ar Nun. We just read that last week, that he was buried on Har Nevo. Har is a mountain. Nevo is the mountain that he was buried. And Nevo, break the word in half. It's Nun Bo. So that's when he died. That's when he received the Sha'ar Nun. Nun means Nun, and Bo means in him. So Moshe Rabbeinu received finally the 50th gates of Bina, but he was already out of this world. Now, the tribe of Menashe is a hint for the Sha'ar Nun, for the highest of all gates of Bina of wisdom. And again, we see the Moshe plus the Nun that Moshe is missing, it completes it, and we get a Menashe. And just to conclude the connection, we said that the sense of the month is smelling. Menashe has the same letters of the word Neshima. Neshima means to breathe. Moshe Rabbeinu was the first Mashiach. Very soon is coming the last and final Mashiach. And what do we know that will be the quality of Mashiach? That he's going to smell everything. He's not going to look, he's not going to touch, he's going to smell, and he's going to know who's wicked, who's good, who's what, who's Jewish, who's not Jewish, which tribe you're from. Mashiach is going to come and reveal everything to us with the power of the smelling. So practically saying, we're standing in a month that seems to be a negative month. Mar Cheshvan, very bitter. The flood is happening. The reason why we call it Mar, one of the many reasons, because we just finished a month full of holidays. And it's like getting a lot of sweets. Now if you eat a lot of sweets, then you eat a banana, banana's bitter. So usually a banana is sweet, an apple is sweet, the orange is sweet, but eat a lot of sugar before that, anything that is normal will taste bitter. So we had a month full of simcha, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchat Torah, so much sweetness. So now this month it doesn't have anything, it seems bitter. But here lies the secret, is that take the word in Hebrew bitter, it's mar, switch the letters around, it becomes ram. Ram. Ram means above everything, exalted. And we say, well, what do we call Shem? Ram v'nisha. Ram v'nisa. Nisa means to go above. So I have the opportunity to take anything in my life that is bitter, and with one little tweak of an attitude, and I switch it to something to become exalted. And that can only come when I see and I recognize what's my place in the world. If I will recognize what's my place in the world, what's my task, what's my position, where am I positioned in the world, then I shouldn't have any jealousy towards anybody. I shouldn't have any anger towards anybody. I shouldn't have a competitiveness with other people in a negative way. I mean, to be competitive is very good when it's done in a healthy way. But the point is that all problems starts, like we mentioned, the fights of all the brothers, it starts from jealousy. And up until today, you see that all the disagreements, all the separations between groups, between communities, between partnerships, whatever, it's jealousy. Look even with married people. Just yesterday we were talking, my wife and me, with a couple, trying to help them with their marriage life. It's all jealousy. But she talked with him, and she talked with him. Oh, so she talked with him, big deal. But you didn't talk with her? Why are you jealous of her? Why are you jealous? Because she talked with somebody? I know, maybe, okay, it wasn't done in a not nice or appropriate way, but you see that even between couples, a lot of the anger comes from jealousy. Why did you look over there? I looked over there because my face is facing that way, so my eyes are looking that way. I'm not looking at her. So jealousy is the recipe of all disasters. It brings all the arguments, all the fights, it develops hate, it develops all these feelings that chas v'shalom lo aleinu causes all the disasters from all directions. And comes this month, and all the history that we just explained about Menashe, look at what a level he was holding. He was mamash a very similar to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was jealous of somebody. Moshe Rabbeinu had all the reasons to have an ego out of control, and Moshe Rabbeinu was still small, humble. And again, this is so we see the connection to the two letters of the month. That's why I said in the beginning that the Dalet and the Nun, they seem very bad. The Dal means poverty and emptiness. It doesn't mean that it's bad. Lehefech, the more that I'm a nothing, I'm something. Moshe Rabbeinu humbled himself to such a level that he became the biggest prophet ever. Only because he made himself a nothing. You think Moshe Rabbeinu was walking like this? Moshe Rabbeinu was, very humble individual. A famous story, when Korach came against him, if you're looking at the story, it's very, unbelievable to think about it. Korach comes this individual and he starts arguing with Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, Korach had all the reasons to argue. First of all, Korach was a cousin of Moshe Rabbeinu, first cousin. More than that, Korach was a billionaire. He was literally a Bill Gates. And he, up until today, in Hebrew, when you want to define somebody rich, you say, Ashir ka Korach. Not only that, he was mamash a Talmid Chacham. He knew the Torah inside out. To a point that 250 heads of Sanhedraot, of Supreme Courts, followed him. He was a politician. He had everything. And he comes and he starts rebuking Moshe Rabbeinu. Who made you a king? Who decided you are going to appoint your brother to be the head Kohen, the priest? And Korach was arguing, and now you would think that Moshe Rabbeinu would stand up and be like, who do you think you are talking to me? You know who I am? I am Moshe. I took the Jews out of Mitzrayim. I speak with Hashem every day face to face. How dare you talk to me? Technically, according to the law, Moshe Rabbeinu could have his head beheaded in a second. This is going against the king. How dare you step in front of the king? When you think Moshe Rabbeinu did something like that, the Torah says, Vayipol al panav vayev. Moshe Rabbeinu fell on his face and started crying. Because Moshe Rabbeinu says, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe he's right. Maybe I crossed my boundaries. Maybe I did something that hurt somebody. This is where you see a true leader is humble. The fake leaders are the ones who just want to be a leader to control everybody. The real leaders, they don't want to even be leaders. You think Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to be a leader? He went through a whole negotiation process with Hashem. I don't want this job. This is a stinky job. And Moshe Rabbeinu every day, 7 days, was an argument between Moshe Rabbeinu and Hashem. And Moshe tells him, no, I have an older brother. I stutter. I'm this, I'm that. And stop. I don't want to. The real leaders, they don't want to be a leader. Because their nature is to be humble and to be kind and to be loving. The ones who are the leaders that we have, they're all fake leaders. They just want to control. They want to control and they want to have the upper hand and they want to be the number one. That's not a real leader. That's why we don't have leaders in our generation. Not in the Torah world, not in the secular world. There's no leaders now. So we see here that the quality of Moshe Rabbeinu, which obviously we see that Menashe had the same quality, is the secret of success is that you make yourself a nothing. You take the dalit, the dalut, the emptiness, and that's how you become the true you. And this is really what we need to focus on, because I need to figure out what am I doing this year to really be me. And it's important that I'll be me, not you. So what if you're a little bit better? I need to be me. So many people, they attach themselves to a certain group or to a certain whatever it is, and they feel they have to stand in line. And people don't like that. And why don't you just dress how you want to dress? You don't have to dress like everybody. And some people, it's good for them. Good. If you need to stand in line like a duck, good. If that's what does good for you, fine. But most people, they feel oppressed. So they join a certain group or a certain, I don't know how you call it in English. I don't want to use words that Chas v'Shalom would sound the wrong way. But we always try to associate, I belong to that club. I belong to this group. I belong to this sect. You don't have to belong anywhere. I belong to Hashem. People all the time ask me, what are you? What do you mean, what am I? I'm a Jew. I'm a man. What do you mean, what am I? So, and for some reason, people think that they have to belong to some group or something, or to a sect. I don't have to. Why don't you be you? Why don't you dress how you want and follow the Torah? I'm not telling you not to follow the Torah, but it doesn't mean that I have to stand in line in a certain way. And if you want to and it's good for you, go ahead. But most people don't want it. Most people, they feel oppressed and they lose their self-awareness of who am I? I'm just another number in this group or in this sect or whatever it is. And it's not healthy. This is not what the Torah tells you. The Torah tells you, be you. So if I'm trying to be fake and trying to be something else, I'll never be successful. Once I'm not successful, I'll start developing sadness and despair and anxiety and feelings of disappointment and depression. Why? Because I'm not successful. So I need to understand, I need to be me. And I need to pursue me. That I should be the best of me. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be number one. I might be number 40. Who cares? So what if so-and-so is number one and he becomes the leader here and he becomes the chief rabbi and he becomes the vice president? Who cares? So I need to recognize my place, and the only way to recognize my place is when I humble myself and say, Hashem, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be a king? Do you want me to be sweeping the floors? I don't care. Whatever you tell me, I'll do. There's nothing wrong with sweeping the floor or being the last in line. And that was the quality of Menashe. He says, Hashem, you want me to be second? I'll be second. You want him to be king? Let him be king. He's probably better than me. If Hashem chose him to be the king, must be that he's a better king than me. Who needs this headache, Bechlal? So the power of this month is that we clean now. We passed Tishrei. We removed 99% of the junk that we accumulated the year before. Because when we fasted on Yom Kippur, when we did Tshuva throughout the month of Elul and all months of Tishrei, I now cleaned the cargo. Now I have a lot of empty space because all the junk that was accumulated from my sins throughout the year is removed. Now it's easy for me to open my eyes, sharpen my senses and say, Hashem, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do in this world? How can I be the best servant for you? You want me to be here? You want me to be here? What do you want me to do? And this is the month that we start the year, that's it, no more holidays. Fun is over. My kids are like, what? There's no days off? That's it. Back to school. No days off this month. Next month you'll get Hanukkah, you'll get some days off. Now is the time to roll the sleeves up and say, okay, now what am I doing? So we have to take the power of the month, the energy of the month, and to bring it down to this world, to have the attitude of Maze Meshaleh. What does it matter? What matters is what Hashem wants me to do. And I need to be as humble as Menashe, as humble as Moshe Rabbeinu. And when I humble myself, that's when I become the most successful of how Hashem wants me to be. The Ramban has a certain letter. It's called Yigeret HaRamban. Words of wisdom that if you want to do yourself a favor, read it at least once a week. That's what it actually says in the letter. Read this letter once a week. And I became observant, I would read it once a day. Up until today, open my tefillin bag, you see it's under my tefillin. A friend of mine, brought it to me. It's called Yigeret HaRamban, and up until today, it's in my tefillin bag. Once I used to read it every day. Now I would read it once a week, like it says. And it's literally 2 pages of unbelievable wisdom. If you apply that, you are reached your Sha'ar Hanun, the gates, your 50th gate. And it says there, a certain verse that always stuck with me so much. And he says there, Hashpel tatzmecha v'yinasecha hamakom. You make yourself humble, and Hashem will rise you to the level where Hashem wants you to be. And we are trying to always be what I'm not, so it doesn't work out. So I bump into too many dead ends. And he says there, just be humble, just empty yourself. Just make yourself a nothing. Let Hashem take you where Hashem wants you. If Hashem wants you to be a president, you'll be a president. If Hashem wants you to be another simple person, but an amazing father, an amazing husband, an amazing educator, I don't know what. That's what Hashem wants. That's what you want to strive. I want to be what Hashem wants me to be. So I need to put the gear in neutral, so it will be easy for Hashem to push me to wherever I need to go. And this is literally the theme of the month, is just knowing that, you know what, so what if I'm number 2? I don't have to be number 1. And I have to, exactly what Menashe used to do, Kol HaNeshama Tehalel Yah. I have to understand that I constantly have to praise Hashem. I got a job, thank you that I have a job. So I'm not getting 100,000 a year, it's only 40,000 a year, but I have a job. I have my health, I have my, that before Sukkot, after Yom Kippur, we took all the stuff out for the Sukkah, and I hurt my back. So for like 3-4 days, I couldn't move. I literally could not move. I couldn't even put my socks on. My kids had to put the socks on me. And I remember 4 days after, I was able to somehow, everybody was sleeping. I was like, if you would see me, 2.5 hours to put one sock, because, this is when you realize, wow, unbelievable. So when the pain is over, you're like, I can put a sock on. Now can you imagine how ridiculous it is that I wake up my wife and I tell her, I put my sock on. I was able to put a sock on. She was like, okay, that's what you're waking me up for? Yes, I was able to put a sock on. So we need to be excited like little kids, and we have to praise Hashem for everything that we have. This is again, this being humble in front of Hashem. There's a man that comes here once a week, twice a week. He's a Holocaust survivor. He's one of the kids that Hashem Yerachem was in Auschwitz by Dr. Mengele Yimach Shimo. He comes here once a week. Old man, he comes, he sits with us, he prays with us once a week, he helps us with the minyan, and of course he always collects some money. He lives on whatever welfare that he gets. He's such a special man, such a humble man, but you would think that the person will be bitter. He's always smiling, he's always happy, he's always thanking Hashem. And you see the attitude, that he's constantly happy with what Hashem gives him. And everybody, people come, give him whatever, 20 shekels, 50 shekels, 100 shekels. And he's always so happy with it. Even if you give him 50 shekels, he's so happy. He's like, thank you so much. Now I can buy some food for my wife. And you see what a refined neshama. Happy with what you have. Most people, sometimes people, I'm sure you experience it, you give the beggar in the street, you give him 10 shekels. What is this? What am I going to do with this? Yeah. So, what do you mean, what is this? They say thank you that I'm giving you something. Some people, we used to live somewhere that there was a woman that she would curse at you. If you would give her $1, she was like, what am I going to do with this $1? She would throw the $1 back. She's like, no, give me at least 5. So what do you mean? But I'm going to give you what I want. And if I don't want, I don't want to give you. So we have to be humble. We have to be grateful. And we have to be extremely thankful for everything that Hashem does for us. And when I apply that into my life, everything that is bitter in my life will turn like that into sweetness. Just a little bit of sugar. And the attitude has to be on a daily basis. That's why it's the month right after Tishrei. Take this attitude for the rest of the year. You'll be very successful. Your year will be the best year you ever had. Because you're going to reach where you're supposed to reach, not where you're not supposed to go. Sometimes you're trying to climb to a level that it's not even your destination. You're wasting all your energy on nothing. while you could have done so many other things. So let's take this energy, let's take all this attitude of a Menashe and be, okay, so I'm number 2, big deal. I'm number 3, who cares? And even if I'm number 1, it doesn't really matter. Exactly like we said, it's over and over. Mazeh meshaneh, what does it matter? What matters is that I need to do what Hashem wants me to do, and I need to be humble in front of Hashem. And B'ezrat Hashem, you do that, you will experience a sweet year, a happy year. Whatever has to happen will happen. You go on the path of Hashem. You don't design your own path. You go where Hashem wants to take you. And when you go where Hashem wants to take you, Hashem is not going to take you anywhere wrong. We are the ones who are taking us on all these journeys that end up taking me to a dead end. And then I have to back up all the way. Just let Hashem be the driver. He knows where He's taking you. And everything that seems bitter is just a problem with my taste buds. I'm the problem, not Hashem. B'ezrat Hashem, we should be blessed with a sweet year, with a happy year, a year of success and awareness and clarity. And we should really know how to apply that to reach to our ultimate goal. And needless to say, that if we do that, just a little bit of us, we'll be able to reach to see our Moshe Rabbeinu, that we said that Mashiach is going to have the sense of smell. So we should make the world a much better place, that our Mashiach, our Redeemer, can come and pave the way and make sure that everything else falls into place and everything that we really want is going to be fulfilled in the best way possible. B'ezrat Hashem should have a beautiful, successful, healthy, wealthy, and good months.